¿Qué tal, mi gente? My name is Rodrigo Garcia. I'm the Artistic Director of Teatro Visión and your host for tonight. Bienvenidos a La Hora del Mitote. We thank you for joining us tonight. La Hora del Mitote se transmite cada viernes a las 7 p.m. por nuestra página de Facebook y en nuestro canal de YouTube. We invite you to participate by sending us your questions and comments. I would like to start off by acknowledging that we are guests here on the ancestral homeland of the Muwekma Ohlone people who continue to live and thrive in our local community today. Me gustaría comenzar reconociendo que somos huéspedes aquí en la tierra ancestral del pueblo Muwekma Ohlone que continúa viviendo y prosperando en nuestra comunidad local hoy. Hoy tenemos una noche, como siempre, con invitados especiales. We have with us tonight our good friends, and we've been collaborating with them for a while, and they also have a long history working and collaborating with our founding artistic director, Elisa Marina Alvarado, and they are Evelina Fernández and José Luis Valenzuela. Muchas gracias por estar aquí. Evelina was born and raised in East LA. She's an award-winning playwright, screenwriter, and actor who writes about the U.S. Latinx experience. She is currently developing their award-winning saga, A Mexican Trilogy for television with Imagine Entertainment. She is a founding member and associate artistic director of the Latino Theater Company, her artistic family at the LATC. Her plays include A Mexican Trilogy, La Drama Critics Circle Award for Outstanding Writing of a World Premiere Play, published by Samuel French, SOLITUDE, DEMENTIA, La Virgen de Guadalupe, Hope, Part 2 of A Mexican Trilogy, Charity, Part 3 of A Mexican Trilogy, Premeditation, A Mexican Trilogy, An American Story, and many more.
Yeah, I've been around a long time.
And also she is a playwright for MACARIO and Departera, the two new works for Teatro Visión. And we also have José Luis Valenzuela. He's the artistic director of the Latino Theater Company, LATC, and the Los Angeles Theater Center, LATC. And he's also a distinguished professor at UCLA's School of Theater, Film, and Television. José Luis is an award-winning theater director and has been a visionary and an advocate for Chicanx Latinx theater for over 30 years. Thank you again. And I was just looking at your bios and I was like, oh my God, it's going to take me the whole program just to give all the
They're too long.
They're too long.
So thank you. I hope you're doing well in LA despite all the sad news about where we are.
Madre, yeah.
So how have you been doing?
We're good. We've been, in lockdown for almost 9 months, and our theater is dark. It's been dark for almost 9 months. So we've been doing a lot of Zooming and a lot of virtual programming and, spending a lot of time together. I just kind of sit around and watch Jose Luis's beard grow sometimes. And but we're good. We're healthy. We're waiting for our first grandchild that's due to be born next week.
Congratulations. Congratulations to you and to the parents.
Thank you. So we're getting ready for that.
Awesome.
We practice social distancing. We're in the same house, but we don't have our mask, so she has to be in a different room than I am.
Well, that's a very good example. That's a very good example. I mean, one of the big issues that we've had with the messaging and making people understand the importance of following the rules is that when it comes to our family, we completely disregard the risk.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we think that, oh, son mis amigos, mis primos, everything is fine. And this is not a matter of love, because love does not give us immunity against the coronavirus. And so, yeah, todo lo que tengamos que hacer anyway. So let's begin for those of, you know, who are watching, who are not very familiar with the Latino Theater Company. Why don't you give us you know, una semblanza of where this wonderful group of artists, you know, started and how they came to be who they are right now?
Well, Jose Luis and I both, our roots are both in Chicano theater. I was in El Teatro Primavera in Los Angeles. He was in Teatro de la Gente in San Jose. We were both in El Teatro de la Esperanza in Santa Barbara. And so that's how we kind of met. We met when he was in El Teatro de la Esperanza, and then I went to work in Santa Barbara, Teatro de la Esperanza. And then we left to come to Los Angeles, and Jose Luis got a job doing a Latino Theater Lab at the original incarnation of the LATC. So we began as the Latino Theater Lab. And many of us met doing Zoot Suit previously in 1978, 1979. Lupe Ontiveros, Sal Lopez, myself, we had known each other. And so when Jose Luis started this workshop at the old LATC, we were all part of the workshop. And that was the beginning of what was the lab, and then later on became the Latino Theater Company. So, Sal had worked with the Teatro Campesino, and Lupe was in Zoot Suit and also worked with Campesino a little bit too. So, and then, you know, many of us also had worked in Hollywood. So it's kind of like a combination of actors that worked in both Chicano theater and worked in the Hollywood scene, also doing film, TV. So that's kind of how we came together. And when we started, we were all very young. We were all in our late 20s or early 30s, I think, right? So now we've been together we're going into our 35th year as a company. So I think it's pretty historic, you know, to have a company that's together for that long with the same members. At least there's 5 of us that are still together. Lupe Ontiveros passed away a few years back. And then other people that were in the lab dropped out. But as a company, we've been consistently the same people for quite a while. Yeah.
One of the things that I grew up in Mexico, and that's where I started doing theater, and the model of theater companies were as ensembles. Mm-hmm. It was usually the ensemble producing the work. Mm-hmm. And it seems like that was sort of the model that was also here happening during the 70s and probably the 80s. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
And how and now it's different. The ensemble model has changed. It's not as common as it was before. What make you folks to remain as an ensemble?
You want to say something, Jose Luis?
No, go ahead, keep going. It's fine. I'm listening. I'm loving listening to both of you. It's great. I can say. I mean, I think because we were born as an ensemble, and it was always the idea that this is the ensemble for life. It's not necessarily we bring people to work with the company as needed, but the priority, of course, is always the ensemble. When we are casting, when we are discussing the programming, when we're discussing the plays, and also, as an ensemble, it's always easier to discuss the aesthetic of the company, the type of work that we want to do. It's not. I always think that, actually, just in general, I think the future of the American theater is in the ensemble companies. It seems like they're the ones who survive the most or the longest, and that the work has a lot more consistency than when we become just a production company in a way, and we hire actors to do a specific work. I think that's probably, I don't know, as you sense, Evelina, why the ensemble is still together.
I think it also has to do with a common vision, a common vision, a common goal. I think the company has always strived to, again, because our roots are in Chicano theater, always strive to do plays that reflect, the dreams and aspirations of our community. And so that's our commonality, as individuals, as colleagues, as an artistic family. And so creating together after all these years, we have a certain theatrical language, a certain shorthand when we create together. We know, when Jose Luis gives direction, we kind of already know what he's going for, what he wants. We always incorporate music and movement and in our plays, and that all comes with being able to work together as an ensemble. So, and when we were in the Chicano theater movement, when there was Tenaz, we learned a lot from the groups from Mexico and from Latin America. And they were actually the ones that came and gave us workshops, the Chicano theaters. They gave us workshops on the collective creation, which is something that was created, by Enrique Buenaventura and Santiago Garcia. And so they would come and help us create these ensemble pieces. And so both of us being in el Teatro de la Esperanza, el Teatro de la Esperanza was one of the few groups, if not the only one, that didn't have an artistic director. They had one for a little while, which was Jorge Huerta, because the company began at UCSB as a student group. And then when they graduated, they went into the community to create. And Jorge was part of it, but then Jorge left to go be a professor at UCSD. So, but the group, the El Teatro de la Esperanza, continued as a collective and continued to create collectively. And so everybody in the company had to direct, had to write, had to act, do all the things, which is like a great learning process. For me, when I went to work with Esperanza, I had to write, and even though I was a writer, very early on when I was in elementary school, I used to write short stories. Just being at Teatro La Esperanza kind of, woke up that creativity of writing in me. So I always look back at that as the beginning of my writing trajectory, So yeah, so that's why it's important for us to be an ensemble. It's important for me to be able to write for the actors that I know and that I've known for years and years and years. So if I'm writing a character for Sal, when I know his strengths and I know his weaknesses, I know he can dance, I know he can sing, I know, so I can write all that stuff for him because, he can do all of it. So I know that if I'm going to write for Jeff, for example, I mean, he's an amazing actor, but just like me, he's not a great singer. So I know I'm not going to write something for him to sing or something for me to sing. So, it's a great gift to have as a playwright, to be able to have an artistic family like that.
And something that you were mentioning about the theatrical language, and in a way that's, one of the elements that shape the identity of the ensemble, right? Like when I've seen one of your plays, I know that that's you, and I know that that's Jose Luis' direction, and I know that that's the Latino Theater Company. How do you go from, a group of folks who want to do something, start experimenting, to developing this language, this identity that, in a way, brings you together as an ensemble?
Well, meaning every play begins with an idea many times with a draft. Many times Evelina can come with a draft of a play that she wants to work on, or with an idea of things that she wants to talk to the company about and work with the company, and then and then we do a lot of workshops. We do a lot of workshops, yes, with the company, and discovering the style and the form and how we're gonna do this theatrical version of the thing. And we're always very interested in the development of the aesthetic and the style, and we have a lot of conversations about that. And more than conversations, we have a lot of work on stage. We do improvisations, we stage things, we do exercises. We have a choreographer, Giovanni Lucero, who works with us. She does a lot of the training for the movement and the dance and the gestures. And it's a big process. It's a long process that we take in the realization of the work, and it goes through many different phases. Evelina goes and writes more, and then we come back, and then we exercise that and continues until we feel that we can start. A play never finished, really. It's so hard to think, for us, it's like there is always something more that you can do. It's always that's really important. And as part of the company knows already what style we are going to, meaning what sort of style, what are we looking for, how we are going to perform this piece. And
we don't have to talk about it too much anymore, because we kind of already know what it is. It's sorry, my daughter keeps trying to call me.
It's okay.
So we know that there's movement, there's moving the furniture. If we're going to do a transition, we all try to move together, and there's just feeling each other, knowing who's where, and it's not too much talking, a lot of just knowing how to work together after so many years. It's there's a shorthand. There's a real shorthand with how we create the images and all of that stuff. So it's an interesting process. And it's hard to teach. I mean, we've done plays with other people, and Jose Luis directs, like The Mother of Henry, for example. None of us in the company were in the play, and that was really the first time we'd ever done that. And trying to teach that that aesthetic or that language, actors start asking, why do I have to move the furniture, without understanding that it's just part of the style, for the actors to move and do the transitions together and all of that. So, yeah. Yeah, it's a long process. And it's really hard to describe. You know, people have asked us, you know, to write about our creative process, and we've been so busy just doing it that it's really hard for us to articulate it. You know, we haven't been very good at articulating our process. There's other, you know, ensembles who have made a point of articulating their process, writing books about their process, you know, all of that. And, you know, none of us are scholars or intellectuals. We're just theater makers. And so we haven't done a good job at articulating what our process is. And now that we're getting older and thinking about succession of the company and who's going to take over, you know, when, you know, because we're not going to be here forever. So we have to think about how are we going to teach people how to do what we do, you know, or are we, or, you know, are they going to have to figure out their own way of storytelling that's not necessarily the way that this ensemble did it, because it's going to be a whole different ensemble, you know?
Absolutely, absolutely. I like to continue on this part of the ensemble, particularly because, like you said, you know, for the new generations, what is the legacy and what they can take from, you know, from those who are already ahead. But first, I like to just mention that we have some people that are commenting on our page. Hugo Badu, saludos mis estimados José Luis y Evelina.
Hola.
Que viva el teatro, un abrazo fuerte y cuídense mucho.
Gracias.
Diane, hola Evelina y José Luis. It's good to see you both. Thank you for coming on our program. I have a question about how long it takes from becoming an idea to a full production on the stage, months, years, and we will get to that, Diane. Thank you very much a todas las personas que nos están viendo. Estamos en la Hora del Mitote con José Luis Valenzuela y Evelina Fernández from the Latino Theater Company. Los invitamos a participar en esta plática, mandándonos sus preguntas y comentarios que con gusto leeremos esta noche. Thank you very much. So, talking about the ensemble, I'm interested to, because again, you've talked about the theatrical language and also the aesthetic of the productions that you do, and the process that you follow. That now, you know, there's not too much talk, but maybe as a not as an advice, but just sharing what you have done in this, you know, 35 years. One is from the beginning to now, what is one thing that you feel has been the clave, the secret, and it wouldn't be a secret anymore, but you know, that particular thing that has made your ensemble remain together for so long, to the point where now you have an idea, there's no talk, you already, you know, organically just go because you are all familiar with it.
I think meaning one of the things that when we talk about our specific ensemble, because everybody has a job in the ensemble, even though Evelina writes and I direct, but Sal produce, or you know, Jeff is in charge of everything that has to do with the props and the costume shop and the facilities. Lucy, you know, sometimes produce, but also she's the one who can review all the writing and the misspells, and you know, everybody has a specific job in the ensemble, yes, as in our daily life, and that's really, really important for us. And so when we began, I mean, we all discussed about the idea. I mean, are you interested in working in this? Are you interested in even discussing this? And why should we be interested in discussing this issue or this play? And if it's that the idea, then we start doing some research if we can, you know, and coming out with where do we begin? Where does the research begin? and how that process will help us to begin at least improvising, at least structuring. And yeah, and the important thing is that Jeff directs now, a lot more. Saul had directed, he has written his own one-man show. So in a way, we were very aware that we were a learning process in the process of the company. Because the truth is, how many times does a Latino actor, a Chicano actor has the opportunity to play a lead, or a Chicana to play a lead in a main stage production, to be cast in any theater. And playing a lead is very different than being part of the ensemble. And how many people has that opportunity to understand what it is to carry the play on, and what responsibilities you have as an actor to do that. So we strategically were, we knew when we did, for example, Dementia, we knew that Sal would play the lead role. We knew that it was important for him to play a lead role that he had never played before. You know what I mean? Meaning, he did La Virgen, but it's different in some way to having to play a lead role in some of the other plays that we were doing. When we did Solitude, then Jeff played the lead role. When we did the trilogy, Lucy played a lot of the lead role. And so in that way also that helps the actor, the writer, the actor, to be able to understand that we are in a process all our life, to become a better company, to become a better performer, to become a better actor, to become a better director, to become a better writer. So that's probably what had kept us together a lot.
Yeah, I would say it's more than anything, it's the work and the love of the work and the love of each other. I mean, we're not just an ensemble that's worked together for 35 years. We're also like a family, we've had kids, and our kids grew up, and now our kids are having kids. So we've kind of like all, lived this life in the theater, but also lived this life outside of the theater together. And I think that and there's a trust, there's a profound love for the work, a profound love for each other, and a trust, right? We trust each other on stage. We know that we'll always be there for each other on stage. I feel so secure, being on stage with, everybody in the company, and people, like Jose Luis said, play different roles. Like Sal's our acting coach. Okay. We all know that when we do a play, he'll take us backstage and go, this scene right here, why don't you try this? Or why don't you think about that? Or, so he's the one that gives us acting notes all the time. So we know that already. We're, that's part of the whole process, and like Jose Luis said, Jeff is always on top of the props and, the set and, all that kind of stuff. He's always in charge of that stuff. So yeah, we all play a role, but I think what's kept us together is really a love for each other, and especially a love for the work. Yeah.
Amazing.
And also that in ensemble, meaning it was very clear when we created the company that we were in Los Angeles and that we were in the film and television industry, and that was work that was going to happen with the company if we wanted or not. I mean, that was a way for the company actors, members to make a living. And, they work a lot. I mean, Sal works a lot, Jeff works a lot, Evelina and Lucy don't work as much anymore, but they used to work a lot. And Lupe was working a lot. A lot of the members of the company were working in film and television a lot. And they understood that part of being in the company, in a way, was also being an actor in film and television. I think because we gave them that possibility as a company, we were never allowed, well, you're going to do film, you cannot be in our company. No, on the contrary, go do film. We want you to make money so you can help the company financially, or, you know, or with new contacts and stuff like that. And that, I'm very proud about that. I'm very, very proud of all the work that the actors were able to make in the company as much, and, you know, theater, film, and television. I mean, and film and television. That's pretty great for our company, to be able to have a real career when you don't have to be working on something else in order to make a living, and be able to be doing your work every day as an actor, or as a performer, as a writer.
Absolutely. I think I would agree with you. I think that it's so beautiful when you are able to create that synergy with other people, where you're able to work together, and through that work you're also creating and nurturing this núcleo, esta familia, that each one can go in different direction, but you know that there's a connection, you know, a nuclear connection, that it's not about protagonismo, or, you know, any of these other issues about I'm better than you and such, but it's nurturing everybody's abilities and talents. So going to Diane's question, how long does it take from becoming an idea to a full production usually?
Around 2 years.
2 years?
Mm-hmm.
And where do those ideas come from? It's somebody coming and say, hey, wouldn't it be great to talk about this or that? Is that also part of what the ensemble brings?
It depends. It depends. Usually it comes from something, maybe I'll start writing, or we'll have a company meeting and say we should do a play about this. And then it could start that way too. You know, there's not one way, but that's the way it has started. I mean, like Dementia, for example, we workshopped it for so long. But it was, you know, loosely based on a real experience that Jose Luis and I had when our compadre Jose Saucedo died of AIDS. So, you know, it was very personal in that way. So, but we improvise. I mean, it's not biographical, but it has a lot of the elements that Jose Luis and I remembered that we went through when he was dying. And so that's what we brought to it. But then everything else, all the other creativity, came from the creativity of the company, you know, the story structure, you know, we never knew who was going to play what role, you know, and until, you know, it became obvious that it would be Sal for the lead. And then from there, we took off.
A beautiful production, by the way. I had the opportunity to see it at the Encuentro, and you had me in tears and bawling of something that, you know, that's still so current.
Well, you know, it's interesting because when we first did the play back in 2002, you know, that's how long ago we did the play. And that was just a few years after Jose passed away. He passed away in 95. So I guess I started writing it maybe in 2000. Mm-hmm. And then when we did it in 2002, it was very relevant because everything was fresh. Mm-hmm. This last time we did it, it was received differently. Now it becomes kind of like a period piece because the young people in the audience now don't remember that, don't remember, you know, how many people we lost from AIDS. They've heard of it, you know, but it's like ancient history, right? Because it's, you know, we don't have that virus as predominantly as we did back then. It was horrible, how many people died and how many people in the theater died. And it was just, so it was received in a completely different way. Some people, young people, thought it was old fashioned, people thought that it was, nobody deals with homosexuality that way anymore. People are so open about, being gay now. And so, it was interesting. It was an interesting reception that we got at that encuentro. That was different. Yeah.
Well, having grown up in the 80s, in the peak of the epidemic, I could completely relate to, those images of, growing up as a young person in that time. All the messaging that you were seeing were these people dying, decimated, and maybe that's why I related so much to that moment. It was kind of like going back, to that time, but it was nonetheless, it was a beautiful piece, by the way, and Sal's performance was breathtaking.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So I want to thank people who are joining us tonight. We are in La Hora del Mitote con nuestros grandes amigos Evelina Fernández, José Luis Valenzuela from LATC. And we have a comment, Corina. Yes, love the connection and positive nurturing that teatro has provided for my daughter Citlali and my familia. Thank you all for creating these spaces. Thank you, Corina. Un abrazo. Thank you for watching us. And we invite more people to send us comments or questions. We are here until 8 o'clock. And we are here every Friday on Facebook and YouTube channel. Thank you.
So, Rodrigo, what's the difference between La Hora del Mitote and La Hora del Chisme?
El mitote lo hacemos muchos.
One by one.
Okay, I get it.
Y el chisme es like one by one, pero el mitote es like, órale la bola. So, flipping a little bit the page now, we have one question from Badu. ¿Cómo ha impactado el COVID a su vida de teatro? And we've heard so many stories, but I don't think that we have one story in common. So for you folks, ¿cómo ha impactado COVID?
Well, man, it's been imagine if we were in the middle of opening the season in March as a company, as the LATC, and we had 10 productions to do this year, and we already, let's say, on Thursday night, we had finished casting the auditions, for example, for Just Like Us, a play by Karen Zacharias that we're going to do, and we closed the next day. So we had to call all the actors, say, sorry, you are cast, but there's no production. We were doing Evelina's play. What's the name, Evelina?
Sleep with the Angels. Señor Director.
Sleep with the Angels. It's a COVID mind. Sleep with the Angels. We were doing a new African American play. We were all ready to begin the spring season with 5 new plays, and the fall season with 5 new plays, and we were already in casting and design and getting the designers, and all of it has to stop. I was directing a play in Cincinnati, and then I needed to go back to Milwaukee and then to the Guthrie, and all of that got canceled. So our theater life just went, wow, that's insane. And when we started, we thought, okay, we're going to have to be locked down for 6 weeks. We'll be back in the summer, and then we'll start again, and maybe we'll move the season from the spring to the fall, and so on. Well, because as you remember, it was like we'll open in May, we'll open in June, and then, oh no, it may open in September and October. And then no, it's not gonna. Now we are in December, so it was. So we try to try to do some programming with digital, which it was, showing the archival footage of most of the plays that we have in archival, which was interesting because we had to deal with SAG and instead of dealing with equity, because you can do that through a SAG contract, and so that was a good thing. And then we did some readings, and instead of doing productions, we did readings of the plays that we're supposed to produce, which it was great, but just personally,
It's
I'm
not the same.
it's not our thing. It's not my thing. It's great. I can listen to it, but so it's been affected a lot. And now, because we're not going to open until 2022, then we are in the midst of trying to program 2021. And because, we were lucky that our entire staff is still working with us. We were able to keep everybody on salary for the entire year and for next year. And that's very, very good for us, because the workers in the theater are the people who make the theater. So for
Exactly.
us, it's not the building, it's not the space, it's really the people. So it's really important for us to keep that very clearly in our theater making process, that the important people are, our tech director, my assistant who does all my scheduling, the general manager, the people who write the grants, just like everybody, the people who works in accounting, even though they're not creating the plays, they're facilitating for us to create the plays. And we were able to hire lots of actors this year to do the readings, and meaning you have to pay when do the screening. So we were able to help a little bit of the actors and just giving them a smaller stipends for whatever the work was. But it's how it have changed, Evelina.
Yeah, so there was a big, huge learning curve right there, because our technical staff, they know how to do plays in a theater, but they had to figure out, how are we going to do these readings virtually and online, and what's the best format, and how do we get the equipment to the actors, so that everybody, sound is good, they're have good cameras, and some people have better Wi-Fi than other people, and then we had to all of that complication, that were we going to do them on Zoom, and you can't really have two people talking on Zoom because it gets messed up. And then we started using StreamYard, and then we landed up with OBS, and it just went on and on. So this is stuff that we didn't know, but what's the silver lining? The silver lining is that we had never streamed our archival footage, so for the first time, people who are not in LA and who have never seen our plays were able to see Premeditation and Solitude and Dementia and the Mexican Trilogy, and so we would get comments like, hey, we're in Mexico City watching this. So I'm like, that's great. That's the silver lining, that, you expand your audience, and your audience suddenly becomes global rather than local. And so that's pretty amazing.
I have to agree with you. It's being relearning to do something that you already knew how to do, and do it differently, and face the challenges in a way like, why do I have to do this? Why, there's this pushback to like, this is not what I wanted to do, etc. But we don't have any other option. But what you were saying about the silver lining, I completely agree. I mean, I and Diane, we both had the opportunity to watch La Víctima, which was my debut in Teatro Visión. That was the first production I ever did with Teatro Visión. And I was like, oh my God, because when you produced it this last time that you did it,
Yeah.
I was not able to go see it.
Yeah.
And seeing you know, this wonderful cast that you had, Lupe Ontiveros there, and seeing just being able to see that, it was wonderful, you know. As much as I thought, oh my, I wish I was there when it happened, I was very thankful that I still had an opportunity to see it. So yeah, and like you're saying, I think we're becoming more global now with this, and it gives us that opportunity. Hopefully in the future, this is another option, not the only.
Or an ongoing option, right? Because we'll hopefully, you know, we'll be able to get back to the theater and do theater the way we normally do with our live audience. But we shouldn't, now we know how to do this too. And so for us to be able to you know, video or record our plays and then put them online so that we can share them with the world, I think now is going to be definitely part of our ongoing programming from now on. So now our technical staff, you know, they're budgeting, you know, how do we turn one of our theaters into the theater where we videotape everything, and then we have it and we can share it with everybody.
And
So,
hopefully that also brings the benefit for, you know, a bigger exposure of the work of the companies, of the actors, the playwrights, etc. Because that is the other part, right? That I've been saying, you know, in every place that I get asked about, what about, you know, COVID and theater? And I'm like, well, you know, the one of the things that we need to realize is the artists, the actors, everybody who participates in theater, there are so many, and right now there's like the expectation of putting everything for free, because that's the role of the artista, that it should be free. And yes, it should be free, but artists shouldn't work for free. So I hope that this gives us an opportunity to strengthen that awareness about the important work of the artist. That we are essential workers, and that there needs to be a compensation for that.
absolutely.
You know,
Yeah, all of the archival footage that we've shown so far, we've compensated. You know, it's not a lot, but you know, it's a SAG, you know, and we pay people's benefits and all that stuff, because we've always believed that the artist should be paid.
absolutely.
It's part of our legacy also, you know, that we people get salaries and get benefits and stuff like that. But we are not charging, you know, tickets for the archival footage. Number one, because it was never recorded for that purpose. So you can see that, you know, it's just one camera, you know, because it's for archival. So it wasn't recorded for, you know, to charge people to watch it. Now in the future, since we're going to invest in all this equipment in order to do that, then maybe depending on how it comes out, maybe we'll consider, you know, asking for some kind of ticket price or something like that. And, you know, we always ask people for donations. You know, anybody who wants to donate to our company can donate, you know, and so, you know, and now's the time of year for giving. So, you know, we make a big push for that like everybody else. So, yeah.
Yeah. And for people interested, the LATC.org is the website. Jose Luis, you were going to say something.
Yeah, no, that's here. I mean, for us, it's very, very important to pay the artists all the time. It depending on the situation of what it was only an archival thing. So the union gives you the option that you don't have to pay you can defer the payment until you recoup the money of the production. So you can do that, which a lot of theaters are doing. They do sign the SAG contract with deferred payment, understanding that that's never going to happen because the things, or if you're for free, you can defer the payment. That's an option that SAG gives you, and the special contract that they have for this type of screening distribution, especially with it's very limited. It's on your website or on Facebook or in YouTube, but you have to take it out at a certain time. You cannot just leave it there forever. So I think that's an important point to make about the archival showing for archival.
And speaking of that, you folks have La Virgen coming up, or starting. Let me take the.
Yeah,
starting December 11th.
Yeah, so we started doing La Virgen at the big cathedral downtown Los Angeles. When they were building the cathedral, we were driving by, and Jose Luis always has big ideas. And so he said, we should do La Virgen at the cathedral. And all of us were like, yeah, right, whatever. But then, we pitched the idea to them. It was the year they were opening, and then they said, no, they weren't interested. But then the night we closed DEMENTIA, we got a call that day and said, oh, we changed our mind. Would you like to do La Virgen? And we're like, man, we're not ready for it. You had said no. But Jose Luis was like, let's do it, because if we don't do it, we're going to miss this opportunity. So it was crazy the first year we did it. But long story short, this would have been our 18th year doing La Virgen, because we skipped 1 year because we didn't have funding. And it's a big cast and everything. And the year that they asked us if we could do it, we had always been using Luis Valdez's script. And so we called and we said, can we use, the script? And they were doing La Virgen that year. So they said, no, we couldn't use their script. So then we had to scramble to write our own play too, and, the source material is the source material. So of course she's, there's 4 apparitions. We know that. And so, there's, but it's our own version of La Virgen. So ours is called La Virgen de Guadalupe, DIOS INANTZIN, which means the Mother of God. And so, it's interesting. We have a lot of indigenous dancers, and I remember the first time the audience came, and the cardinal there was very cool, because people were like, what? You're letting, indigenous dancers dance on the altar of the cathedral? And the cardinal was very cool. He was like, in the old days, that's what cathedrals are for. They were for, performances, not just for church. They were also for performances. So, we got past all of that, and we've been doing it every year since. And it's a beautiful production. I mean, this is the time of year when we would be in rehearsal, and, it's, very, feels very empty right now, because our tradition is always to be getting ready for La Virgen right now, at this time. But hopefully next year, a ver qué pasa, So we're going to show the 2009 version of La Virgen, because that was The best one we could find, even though, you know, we've had so many different people
Play the role.
record it, you know, it's like we had to go through all of them. And so we decided on the 2009, not because it's filmed as well as maybe some of the other ones, but Jose Luis felt like it was the best performance. So rather than go with the best filmed, we decided to go with the best performed.
From what we had, okay, meaning we didn't get much.
We didn't have much.
We didn't get much. You know, it's like there were one that is only pieces. There is one from 2005 that is early on, with understanding that we started in 2002. So in 2009, we found this one camera and the side version of but it's still, I think that you can see the energy of the play and you can see the beauty of the play, even though
it's evolved. It's evolved so much. We've added things over the years, or, you know, we go, wow, what about this? And then, you know, so added so many things that the 2005 version is so different from what we do now, that the closest one to what we do now is the 2009. So it's filmed at a weird angle, you know, but I think people will, we're not charging for it. So I think people will enjoy the performances and also enjoy the story. You know, it's a beautiful story. And we have Susana Guzman, you know, who's a beautiful singer, and she plays La Virgen de Guadalupe.
Oh, because your daughter also.
Yes, she plays La Virgen de Guadalupe too when Susana can't do it. Like last year, Susana wasn't able to, she was busy. And so Esperanza, my daughter, plays La Virgen. But we don't have a recording of one of the years that she's played La Virgen. So we never learn. Now we know we have to record it every year.
We've been dealing with also, you know, now that we're also facing the same exact thing of, we wish we can, for example, with MACARIO, we want to make it available for the schools to use it, but we're like, which version are we going to show? Because each year it evolves, and there are things, either the recording or the sound or the performance itself. But I think in, you know, at the end, like you said, you know, silver lining, I think it's wonderful that we're still able to share some of these wonderful work that theater makers have done. And, you know, that at that time we were recording without thinking that it was going to be something to offer later on. And how wonderful that we have access to that.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
And so La Virgen is going to be live from December 11th to December 20th, and people can go to the latc.org/live. And is there a cost? You said
no, it's free.
No, it's free. It's free.
But people can make donations, which would be wonderful.
Anytime. Yeah.
Well, time is up now for us. And is there anything that you wish to close with for our audience, for those who have been with us?
Well, just, you know, hello to our friends from San Jose, all the people from Teatro Visión, you know, our lifetime friends, Ed Robledo, Irene Burgos,
David Terminal.
David Terminal.
Sending love to everybody in San Jose.
Everybody, all of the people that we've known for so many years, and we, you know, love, and we still keep in touch with, and, you know, we love San Jose, and we love Teatro Visión, and, you know, keep on doing the good work.
You know, I still have the memory of when you came to do Solitude in that big after, you know, show party, and that was such a beautiful, you know, it is such a beautiful memory, and I'm looking forward to the next opportunity that we're able to be together, to, para armar un mitote, para pasar el chisme,
Para darnos un abrazo.
para darnos un abrazo sin tener reservas, exactamente.
Así es, así es.
Evelina, José Luis, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for sharing, a little bit of your history and your stories. Thank you very much. I hope this is not the last time that we're able to bring you online. I think people would enjoy, and there's so much to talk. But in the meantime, quiero mandarlos con un fuerte, fuerte abrazo con mucho cariño en nombre de todos los que trabajamos en Teatro Visión and all your friends here in San José.
Igualmente, abrazos.
Abrazos a todos. Hugo, Diane, everybody. See you soon. Be healthy and safe.
And thank you everyone for watching La Hora del Mitote. We'll see you next week at 7 p.m. Muchas gracias y buenas noches a todos.
A ustedes.